Quite a while ago now, CEX introduced a new system for retro, and that system was unboxed, boxed without manual, and of course boxed with manual, and then there is the boxed with manual mint, whatever the hell that means. I'm still actually yet to see a mint game. I don't know what CEX would consider to be a mint game, and I suppose when thinking about it, it's going to come down to the individual, and we may talk more about that later on in the video. And not that long ago, they started to do that for PlayStation 2 games. Okay, you can't buy them unboxed, but you can buy them boxed without manual, boxed with manual, and then of course mint, which is with manual in like new condition, I guess. So I guess it was only a matter of time before the system hit my favourite platform, which of course is the the Xbox 360. If you'd like to see me play these games and do reviews on them rather than just talk about them, you can check out the link in the description. That will send you to my second channel. I've got a few videos on there at the moment, and I'm currently working on another one, so check it out if you're interested in that kind of thing. There are now Xbox 360 rarities across the site. They haven't done it quite yet for the PS3 as I'm filming this. Maybe it's changed since I've done it, but I noticed last night that rarities are now a thing. Why is it important, and what does it really mean? Well, to be honest, to many it might not make a difference, especially if you're not the type of person to go and drop £140 on a video game that came out over 10 years ago. And to be quite frank, I'm not one of those people either. I'm definitely not looking to drop £120 on My Horse and Me Too, because yes, that is the price. Okay, granted, that's mint price, but still, 120 games on My Horse and Me Too? Who in their right mind is paying that? I'd much rather pay 100 to have it with the manual. Now, many people would say, well, this is a good thing, why are you complaining? I'm not necessarily complaining, although there is going to be an issue with CEX introducing rarities. The good thing about it, of course, is when you buy something online, it's nice to know what you're buying. So normally you have these CEX lotteries, which I've never done and never planned to do. I'm not criticising people who do it, because I do enjoy watching it. So in a nutshell, you used to have to go onto the CEX website and order a game. Say the game was an expensive one, £120 game. You needed to hope that it turned up in obviously good condition, inlay in good condition, but also you need to hope it comes with a manual. If you are paying that much money, you kind of expect it to be complete with the manual. And of course, the label of the cartridge, or whether the disc needs to be in good condition or whatever, all those things go hand in hand, and if everything is checked off, it's a successful CEX lottery, and you spend £120 on a game that you're going to stick on a shelf and never play. But now, of course, with this rarity system, half of the roulette is kind of taken away. You know it's going to turn up with a manual. Now, I'm not saying like 9 times out of 10 or anything, when a game comes with a manual, it's going to be in better condition than if it didn't have a manual, but they do kind of go hand in hand. So if someone cared enough to keep the manual with the game, they probably cared enough to not dip it in oil, meaning that it's probably going to be in reasonably good condition. And that surely is a good thing. Knowing that you're buying something that's coming complete with a manual makes perfect sense, and it absolutely does. But the problem with it is you are paying for the privilege. Whereas the day before yesterday, you could walk into CEX and buy Crash Time 4 for like £75. Now you have to spend £95 if you want it with a manual, because that's right, CEX have valued the manual of Crash Time 4 on the Xbox 360 at 20 quid. Now I say that as if you can walk into any CEX right now and buy Crash Time 4. You can't. They're all out of stock. Unless you want the PS3 version, which is 38. It may not be complete with a manual unless you can find it with a manual, but you get the idea. Xbox 360 games now have without and with manuals, which is a good thing, but it also means that you are now guaranteed to have to pay up for these games. So for those of you who collect Xbox 360 or any games in general really, if you are a with manual collector, as a lot of collectors tend to be, and for the most part I do collect games or only collect games with manuals, but if I can't get it without a manual, it's not going to bother me as much as it might do someone else. This bothers me more though, because I know that I can get the game without the manual and I can get it with the manual, and I know it's going to be cheaper without, and I'm going to find it difficult to not want to just save money and buy it without the manual and maybe hope I can get it a manual randomly somewhere else. But the problem with that, of course, is when CEX makes a move like this, the rest of the world follows suit. So on eBay right now, people are stripping manuals out of their Xbox 360 games and selling them separately. I suppose in a way, if you are the type of person to not care at all about manuals inside your games, this is a way to make a hell of a lot of money, and something that I hadn't considered and are now all of a sudden considering. You could take every manual you have out of your Xbox 360 games, or rather every game really, and list them separately on eBay. If you're not bothered about having the manual inside the case, that is going to provide a service to people who are looking to buy manuals, of course, but also it's going to net you an awful lot of money. I guarantee you, if I took all the manuals out of my games, or rather just the expensive games, I could make quite a lot of money and still have the game and the case and a collection. And it is interesting to see what games CEX determined to be rare without the manual compared to with the manual. So for example, one of my most expensive games in my collection is Killer is Dead. That actually dropped in price recently to 38, but now that they've done this rarities thing, they've actually bumped it up a little bit. So it's now £40 without the manual, £42 with the manual, and mint is about 50 quid. And there is a special edition for 70 quid. I'm really not sure what that comes with. It does say manual and art book and stuff. I don't know whether it's a steel tin or anything. The cover does look different. That's out of stock anyway, so it's irrelevant. Speaking of out of stock, they only have with manual in stock, and there are quite a few in stock, to be fair. Another one of my most expensive games is Fist of the North Star. Now I only have the first one, not the second one, although the second one has actually come down in price quite substantially. I think it was about 75 quid the other day. You can get it now without the manual for 58 or 65 with the manual, although I do say that as if they're in stock. They're not, right? But still, the first one, which is the one that I have, is 40 quid without the manual, 45 with the manual. So they're actually putting a fiver value on the manual compared to £2 of Killer is Dead, compared to 20 quid of Crash Time 4. And of course we could sit here for days going through all of these games and how much value they put on a manual, etc. But if you don't have these games already and you are a with manual collector, this now means you're going to be paying up, and not necessarily just if you're going through CEX to do it either. If you go on eBay, people have followed suit. Of course, we've already mentioned that. You are going to have to pay more for this unless you can catch someone off guard, or you just get a really good deal somewhere. And this rarities system only counts for games over a certain value, so it seems to be around the £40 mark. If a game is worth more than that, it's now a rarity, which is fine. I get it. It makes sense that that would be the amount, right? And I actually think I only own 2 games within that rarities, but the prices have changed and some of them have gone up, but some of them have actually come down. So one of the most expensive games on the platform was Spider-Man Web of Shadows, and I'm sure this will annoy a lot of people who have recently bought this game, but this has dropped, I think, rather considerably. So I watch a fair few people on YouTube, as I'm sure most of us do. One of the people who I remember picking this up recently was Emily Pops, and her link is in the description if you want to go check her out. She is an avid Xbox 360 collector. It's why I enjoy watching it. So she'll pick up games that maybe I don't consider picking up or not heard of or anything like that. But one of the games she picked up recently in a CEX roulette, in fact I think she ended up buying it like 3 or 4 times, it was Web of Shadows, and I think, don't quote me on this, you'd have to go watch it and check it out for yourself, I think she paid like £110 for this game. You can now get it for 70 quid without the manual, or 85 with the manual, and you can even buy it £98 mint. Now, I don't think CEX will ever have a mint copy in stock, and to be quite frank, they don't have any in stock, and I'm not sure anyone is going to want to trade it in at around 50-60 quid when you could probably sell it on eBay for a lot more, especially if you have it with the manual. But the price drop on that game is actually quite substantial, and it's since they did the rarities. They brought rarities in and the price has plummeted, and that's happened across the sort of system with a few games. Some of them have come right down in price, and the mint price is sort of up where it used to be, and now the with manual and the without manual has sort of come beneath it. So it's a little bit different to how they did like the SNES and the Mega Drive games with and without manual. Those prices they inflated massively. They kind of ruined themselves with that, really. They ruined the market because everything all of a sudden was really expensive. It's come back down more or less now, but they kind of did themselves out of a lot of money there, because a lot of people were trading these games in or selling the manuals online because they didn't really care to be like sort of complete collectors, if you will. I think they realized quite quickly, oh, we've kind of over-egged this a little bit, we've overshot it massively, we need to reduce the prices, and that's why a lot of like out-of-box, or rather box without manual games now are actually a lot cheaper than they were. I will be back very soon with another video. If you want to check out another one in the meantime though, you can click here, and until the next time, goodbye.